All right, today is our investigate lesson, and that means that mostly you're going to be working on some things on code.org yourself. But what's happened is there are several videos embedded in the code.org bubbles to kind of further explain each topic as you get through and work on some on your own. So as we get started, let's think about a prompt. A water park will let a visitor on a ride if they are 48 or more inches tall or they are 14 years or older. Make a flowchart for this decision and make sure to use comparison operators and logical operators when you write your Boolean expression. So here's throwing at you a whole bunch of vocabulary that we learned yesterday. But just to recap, comparison operators are anything where you're trying to compare two things to see whether it's true or whether it's false. And that is the definition of a Boolean expression. So anytime you're looking to see whether something is true or false, in this case, if they are 48 or more inches tall, that needs to be true. Or if they are 14 years or older, that needs to be true. So whether you write that as in a flowchart format, or if you just write it down in one line using kind of the pseudocode that we used yesterday, I think it's valuable to go ahead and just make sure that you understand how to do that. Another thing to remember, when means that there is an on event to respond to user input. The app does something when the user clicks. If means there is a conditional statement that decides what pieces of code to run. So the app does something if a Boolean expression evaluates to true. Thinking about that, we're going to move into the activity, which is on code.org. This is on code.org, so I'm going to let you go ahead and go there and watch this video, which is, I think, bubble 2, and then it'll move you into bubble 3, which is the lemon squeeze app part 1. So these instructions are on code.org as well at the top of the screen where your instructions normally are. And it just says that you need to play the game and figure out what's going on with it. And then you're going to look at the lines of code and try to determine what is actually happening in every line. Just line by line by line, look at each one and just make sure you understand what's happening in the code. That's going to really help you as you start to build your own code. Then after you've completed everything that it says to do on that step, go ahead and keep moving forward. There's another couple of videos, another bubble where now you've got just a little bit of a change on the Lemon Squeeze app, and you're going to go through the instructions on there and make some changes to it. Another video and another version of the Lemon Squeeze app that you're going to need to work on. And after you've completed all that, we just want to make sure that you understand the difference between an if statement, an if-else statement, and an if-else-if statement. How are they similar? So obviously the similarity is that they all start with if. They are all evaluating whether or not something is true. If this is true, we're going to run this code. And so sometimes you'll just need the one if statement. So you're checking for one specific circumstance, and if that circumstance is not false, we're just going to do, or is not true, we're just going to do nothing. If you want there to be two separate scenarios, if this, we're going to run this code. Else, we're going to run this code. So you will want the app to run in two potentially different ways. And if you want three potentially different ways, that's where the if statement comes in. And you could even add on to that if else, as many different scenarios as you want to create in whatever app that you're making. Checking multiple conditions. Here is just what that looks like normally in block coding. So just remember that whenever you're setting this up, it's always a good idea to start with the most rare circumstance at the top and then work your way down to the most general circumstance. And that'll make more sense as you get a little more experience with it. And that's it for today.